chosen one, stop what you're doing right now. God is about to shock you, not with another loss, not with another doctor's report you don't want to hear, but with a turnaround so violent, so sudden, your own children won't recognize your next chapter. I'm talking about the kind of shift that makes your banker call you. The kind of reversal that has your family asking, "What happened to Mom?" The kind of divine interruption that rewrites your last act while everyone thought the credits were already rolling. Listen to this. Last year, a 1-year-old woman in Queens, I'll call her Margaret, buried her husband of 48 years. The kids stopped calling. The savings ran dry. She told me, "Pastor, I'm just waiting for God to take me home." 3 months later, one phone call changed everything. An old friend, a business opportunity, a check she never saw coming. But that's not even the shocking part. I'll tell you what really happened to Margaret in a moment, because her story is your setup. Here's what nobody tells you. Sometimes God hits the plot twist button on a life that everyone, including you, already counted out. If you feel like you've been stuck on repeat for years, like nothing's moved, nothing's changed, nothing's broken through, type this in the comments right now. Lord, shock me your way. Let heaven see you're still in agreement with the impossible. Now stay with me, because in the next few minutes I'm going to show you why the attacks got worse this year, why your body acted up, why the money got tighter, why the loneliness got louder. Not because God abandoned you, but because He's preparing to announce you. The enemy doesn't waste ammunition on people God's already forgotten. You didn't stumble on this message. This is a divine interruption on what you thought was just another ordinary Thursday. Don't you dare click off, because in the next 60 minutes, you will not look at your last 30 years the same way again. God's about to shock a generation that the world wrote off. And beloved, you're in the front row. Some of you are watching this from a small apartment where the TV stays on all day, not because you're interested in the programs, but because the silence is too heavy to carry alone. You've learned to sleep with noise in the background, because quiet brings up too many questions you don't have answers for anymore. You've buried friends. Maybe you've buried a spouse who knew you before your hair went gray, before the pills lined up on the kitchen counter every morning. Some of you have done the unthinkable. You've buried a child. And no mother, no father should ever have to pick out a casket for someone they brought into this world. Your knees hurt when you stand. Your heart hurts when you remember. Let me tell you what nobody says out loud in church anymore. You've been sitting in heaven's waiting room for years now, watching everybody else's number get called. The young couple gets their miracle baby. The businessman gets his promotion. The single mom gets her breakthrough. And you're sitting there with the same crumpled prayer list you've had since 2015, wondering if God lost your file somewhere between glory and earth. I know some of you have prayed the same prayer for so long you don't even cry anymore when you say it. You just whisper it like a habit, like taking your blood pressure medication, not really expecting anything to change. You've watched the seasons turn, spring, summer, fall, winter, and your situation just sits there, frozen, unmoved, mocking you with its permanence. Your adult children barely call. When they do, it's quick. They're busy. They've got their own lives now, their own kids, their own problems. You raised them, sacrificed for them, went without so they could have, and now you're the Sunday afternoon obligation they squeeze in between brunch and the football game. You see their lives on Facebook vacations you weren't invited on, grandkids growing up in photos you have to scroll through like a stranger. And church? Don't even get me started. The church you gave 40 years to now has lights like a concert and music so loud you can't hear yourself think. The young pastor doesn't know your name. They took out the pews you helped pay for and put in folding chairs. The seniors group meets on Tuesday mornings, and it feels like the kids' table at Thanksgiving nice, but not the main event. You used to teach Sunday school. You used to run the kitchen for church dinners. Now you just take up space in the back row, wondering when you became invisible. Here's the fear you don't say out loud. You're terrified of becoming a burden. You're scared that one fall, one diagnosis, one more thing breaking down in this body will make you dependent on kids who are already stretched too thin. You lie awake at 3 a.m., doing the math. How long can the savings last? What happens if you need more care than Medicare covers? Who's really going to show up when things get bad? If I'm describing your life right now, don't you dare be ashamed. Just type 2 words in the comments. That's me. Or if you're still fighting, still breathing, still here against all odds, write, I'm still here. This is your way of raising your hand before God and letting Him know you haven't quit yet. Now here's what I need you to understand, and I need you to hear this with your spirit, not just your ears. In a few minutes, I'm going to tell you exactly why your life didn't end in that hospital room 3 years ago. Why the car accident that should have killed you left you with just bruises. Why the cancer they said was terminal went into remission against all medical logic. Why your heart's still beating when statistically you should have been gone by now. Because, beloved, God has one more shock up His sleeve, and He's been keeping you here, keeping you alive, keeping you sane for this exact moment. You think you've been forgotten? Let me take you to 1 Samuel 1. Hannah wept year after year at the temple, barren, mocked, written off. The Bible says she was in bitterness of soul. That's you. That's the ache you carry that no pill can touch. But God didn't forget Hannah. He was setting up a miracle named Samuel who would change a nation. Your waiting isn't wasted, it's weaponized. You think you're too old? Abraham was 100 when Isaac was born. Moses was 80 when God called him to deliver a nation. Sarah laughed at the promise because her body was past the age, and she still nursed a baby at 90. God specializes in late-blooming miracles because when it finally happens, nobody can credit your strength, your youth, your connections. They can only point to heaven. The enemy has been trying to convince you that you're in life's clearance section, marked down, outdated, waiting for someone to just throw you out. But hear me clearly, the fact that you are still breathing means the story is not finished. Heaven does not waste breath. Every inhale you take is loaded with purpose. Every sunrise you see is God saying, "Not yet, I still have plans." So why has this year been so hard? Why did the pain get worse? The loneliness get louder? The money get tighter? Because the enemy knows something you're about to find out. Now let me tell you something that'll rearrange how you see your timeline. This isn't just motivational talk. This is biblical pattern. This is how God has always operated. And if you don't know this, you'll give up right before your turnaround hits. See, God has a reputation for shocking people late in the story. Not early, not when it's convenient. Late, when the doctors have already closed the file, when the accountant has already written you off, when your own mind has already rehearsed the eulogy. Let me show you. Abraham and Sarah, Genesis 17 through 21. God promised them a baby. But here's the part nobody preaches. He waited until Abraham was 100 years old and Sarah was 90. Their bodies didn't just say unlikely. Their bodies said impossible. Medical science would have laughed them out of the clinic. But God said, perfect. Now nobody can give the credit to biology. Now everybody's gonna know this was me. You hear that? God waited until their situation became a punchline so that His miracle would become undeniable. Maybe that's you right now. Maybe your body's breaking down. Maybe your bank account's on life support. Maybe your family tree looks dead, and you think God missed His window. Beloved, what if God's just setting the stage so that when He moves, nobody can steal His glory? Let's keep going. Moses at the Red Sea. Exodus 14. 3 million people trapped between the ocean and Pharaoh's army. No boats, no bridge, no plan B. The people are screaming at Moses, "You brought us out here to die." And right there, in that impossible corner, with water in front and warfare behind, God split the sea. He shocked an entire nation in one night. You feel trapped right now? Bills on one side, sickness on the other? Let me tell you what's happening. God's about to do something so big in your life that it'll preach for generations. The trap is not your end. It's your setup. One more. Elizabeth and Zechariah. Luke 1. Too old to have kids. Too old to be on the nursery committee. Zechariah's a priest going through the motions, thinking his best years are archived. And God sends an angel to tell him, "Your wife's gonna have a baby, and that baby's gonna prepare the way for the Messiah." Zechariah's response, "I'm too old for this." And God said, "Perfect. I'll start a new generation with you anyway. Listen to me. God loves late in the fourth quarter miracles. He waits until the scoreboard looks embarrassing, then he rewrites it in front of everybody. He waits until the crowd's walking out of the stadium, then he calls the play that changes history. Why does he do this? Because God is not cruel. He's a storyteller, and every great story has a twist that nobody saw coming. Your delay is not denial, it's setup. It's the long runway before the takeoff. It's the silence before the symphony crashes in. And here's the part that'll wreck every lie you've been telling yourself. Age is not a disqualifier in the kingdom. It never has been. Moses was 80 when God called him to lead a nation. Caleb was 85 when he said, "Give me that mountain." Anna was 84 when she prophesied over the infant Jesus in the temple. God doesn't retire his chosen ones, he reassigns them. So if you've been sitting in your living room telling yourself, "I'm too old for God to use me," I need you to do something right now. Write this in the comments. God's not done with me. Say it out loud. Cancel that lie with your own mouth. Let heaven hear you take back the agreement you made with limitation. Because here's what's coming in the next few minutes. I'm about to show you 3 specific types of shock that God releases to his chosen ones, especially in their later years. 3 categories of divine interruption that the enemy tried to convince you expired with your youth. And when you see this, you're going to realize why the warfare got so intense, why the loneliness got so loud, why everything seemed to fall apart right when you thought you were supposed to be coasting. God's pattern has not changed. If he shocked Abraham at 100, if he shocked Moses at 80, if he shocked Elizabeth when her womb was a medical impossibility, why in the world would he retire on you? The same God who split seas is about to split your situation. The same God who opened dead wombs is about to open dead doors in your life. The same God who turned water into wine is about to turn your last chapter into your loudest testimony. Don't you dare give up now. The shock is already in motion. And beloved, it's got your name on it. Now let me show you exactly what kind of shock is heading your way. Now let me tell you something that's going to make the last 10 years make sense. You thought you were in a dead season. No doors opening, no phone calls that mattered. Same routine, day after day after day. Same chair, same channel, same bills you can't quite cover. Same silence from the kids. Same 4 walls closing in tighter every month. You've been asking God, "Did you forget my address?" But heaven calls this something else entirely. Heaven calls it incubation. Let me break this down for you, because the enemy has been lying to you about what's really been happening. You see that tree outside your window in January? Looks dead, doesn't it? Bare branches, no leaves, no fruit, no signs of life. But go dig down into the soil. Those roots are going crazy underground. They're spreading, they're deepening. They're preparing for a spring that's already written in the tree's DNA. That's you right now. While you've been sitting in what looks like nothing, God has been moving everything, rearranging people, repositioning circumstances, removing toxic connections you thought you needed, closing doors that would have destroyed you 3 years from now. The silence wasn't abandonment. The silence was protection. Isaiah 45:3 says this, "I will give you hidden treasures, riches stored in secret places, so that you may know that I am the Lord." Hidden, secret, not visible, but real. You know what happens before the big scene in a movie. There's chaos behind the curtain, props getting moved, lights getting adjusted, actors getting into position. The audience doesn't see any of it. They just see darkness, and they hear shuffling, and they wonder if the show got cancelled. But the director knows exactly what's happening. Every second of that silence is part of the setup. Chosen one, you've been behind the curtain, and the enemy whispered in your ear every single day, "See, God forgot you. You're too old now. You missed your moment. This is it. This is all there is. Don't let the devil play you like that." He's a liar, and he's been lying to you about your season because he knows what's about to break loose. Let me tell you what's really been happening while you thought nothing was happening. God has been separating you from people who would have stolen your next chapter. He's been healing parts of your heart you didn't even know were broken. He's been training you in the wilderness like he trained Moses for 40 years before the Red Sea. He's been building your faith in the waiting room because what he's about to release requires a different level of trust than you had 5 years ago. The delay wasn't denial. The delay was preparation. You've been hidden, but you have not been forgotten. If that just hit your spirit, type in the comments right now, "Hidden but not forgotten." Let me see who's really hearing this. Now here's where it gets good. Stay with me, because in just a couple minutes, I'm going to give you 3 undeniable signs that your quiet season is about to explode with a shock you didn't see coming. But first you need to understand this. The silence you've been hating, that's the exact same silence God is using to set the stage for your announcement. See, if he had moved too soon, you would have gotten the blessing but not the character to sustain it. You would have gotten the open door but walked through it with the wrong people. You would have gotten the breakthrough but not the wisdom to steward it. God doesn't just give you things, he qualifies you for them. And that qualification happens in the quiet. Think about David, anointed as a teenager, but he didn't touch the throne until he was 30. 15 years of waiting, hiding in caves, running from Saul, sleeping in the wilderness. No crown, no palace, no army, just sheep and a slingshot, and the promise of a God who doesn't lie. But when David finally stepped into his kingship, he was ready. The waiting didn't waste him. It made him. Your waiting is making you. But here's what you need to know. The reason the attacks got worse this past year, the health scares, the financial pressure, the family drama, the depression that hit you at 3 a.m., wasn't because God abandoned you. It's because the enemy knows your release date. He knows your quiet season is ending. He knows God is about to shock you and everyone around you. So he's been throwing everything he's got at you to make you quit right before the breakthrough. The intensity of the warfare is proportional to the size of what's coming. Let me say that again. The intensity of the warfare is proportional to the size of what's coming. The enemy doesn't waste bullets on people God's already forgotten. He goes after threats. And beloved, you are a threat to his kingdom. Don't you see it? The fact that you're still here, still breathing, still believing, even when it doesn't make sense, that's not weakness. That's proof that God has something massive attached to your name. The silence you've been sitting in is the same silence God is using to set the stage. And what happens next is going to shock you, your family, your doctor, your bank account, and everybody who's been watching. So let me ask you this. What if the best years of your life aren't behind you? What if they're right in front of you, and God's been setting you up in secret for a public breakthrough? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how to recognize when your shock is about to land. Now listen close, because what I'm about to tell you is going to mess with everything you've been telling yourself for the last 10 years. Before God shocks your bank account, before he shocks your health report, before he shocks your family dynamics, he's coming for your mind first. Because, beloved, the biggest prison you're sitting in right now isn't your apartment. It's not your fixed income. It's not even your body. It's the story you keep telling yourself about who you are at this stage of life. You call yourself old, washed up, in the way, a burden on your kids. Heaven calls you keeper of wisdom, intercessor, living archive of miracles. You see the gap? That gap is where the enemy has been living rent-free, whispering lies while you nod along like they're facts. Let me hit you with something from Romans 12:2. Paul says, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind, not by the renewing of your knees, not by the renewing of your 401k, your mind." Because when God shifts how you think about yourself, everything else has permission to move. Here's the revelation. You've been living in a studio apartment in your mind, while God's got a mansion of identity with your name already on the deed. You've been renting thoughts like "my best years are behind me," when heaven's been trying to hand you keys to rooms you didn't even know existed. Rooms called purpose, influence, legacy, supernatural provision. And I know some of you are sitting there thinking, "Pastor, you don't know what I've been through. You don't know what I lost." You're right. I don't know your specific pain, but I know the God who specializes in shock therapy for minds that have been calcified by disappointment. Let me tell you 3 signs that this internal shock has already started in your life, and you might have missed it. Sign number 1. Old memories are being healed or revisited with new understanding. You've been thinking about situations from 20-30 years ago, but this time without the bitterness. This time with a strange clarity, like God's giving you the deleted scenes that explain why certain doors closed. That's not random, that's preparation. Sign number 2. You've got a fresh desire to learn something new. Maybe it's technology, and your grandkid's been bugging you to get on a video call. Maybe it's a Bible study you've been curious about. Maybe it's something creative, something you put down decades ago because responsible adults don't do that. If that sparks back, don't ignore it. That's God rewiring you for what's next. Sign number 3. You've got a strange peace about the future, even though nothing outside has changed yet. Your checking account looks the same. Your health report looks the same. But something inside you stopped panicking. That's not denial, beloved. That's the shock absorber of faith kicking in before the impact of blessing. Remember Margaret from Queens, the 1-year-old widow I told you about at the beginning. Before that phone call came, before the opportunity showed up, before the check arrived, her mind shifted first. She told me later, "Pastor, I started dressing again, not for a man, not for church, just for me. I started going out, taking walks, talking to God, like he still had plans." She changed her inner narrative before heaven changed her outer circumstances. And that's the key. God won't pour new wine into an old wineskin that still thinks it's trash. So right now, I need you to do something with me. I don't care if you're alone in your living room or sitting in a doctor's waiting room. I need you to say this out loud. "Lord, shock my mind. Renew me." Say it again. "Lord, shock my mind. Renew me." Write it in the comments. Let heaven see you're in agreement. Because when you give God permission to mess with your self-image, you just handed him the master key to every locked door in your life. Here's what the enemy doesn't want you to figure out. When God changes how you see yourself, the devil loses the loudest microphone in your life. He's been broadcasting defeat, irrelevance, and invisibility on a loop. But the second you start seeing yourself the way the Creator sees you, carrier of glory, finisher of assignments, weapon of intercession, that whole narrative collapses. Proverbs 23:7 says, "As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Not as his doctor thinks, not as his kids think, not as society thinks, as you think." Your thought life is the blueprint heaven uses to build your next chapter. But God's not stopping with your mind. He's about to shock some of your relationships. And, beloved, you are not ready for the rearrangements, the reconnections, and the removals He's about to orchestrate. Stay with me. Now let me talk to you about something that cuts deeper than money, deeper than health. Let me talk to you about the people who aren't at your table anymore. Some of you raised children who now treat you like a stranger. You gave them everything. You worked 2 jobs. You sacrificed your dreams so they could have theirs. And now they're too busy to call, too occupied to visit. You get a text on your birthday if you're lucky. Maybe a card at Christmas with a signature that feels colder than the winter wind coming off the Hudson. Some of you lost your spouse, the one who knew your coffee order without asking, the one who finished your sentences, the one who held your hand through surgeries and celebrations. And when they left, half of you went into that ground with them. You wake up and for 3 seconds you forget they're gone. Then reality hits like a subway train you didn't see coming. You feel like the last chair left empty at a family table. The grandkids you prayed for don't know your voice. The friends you had moved to Florida or moved on with their lives. You sit in an apartment in Queens or the Bronx or wherever God has you, and the silence is so loud it drowns out the television. But chosen one, hear me clearly. God is the God who pulls out chairs you didn't know existed. The Bible tells us in Psalm 68:6 that God sets the lonely in families, not might set, not could set, sets, present tense, active, intentional. While you've been mourning the table that emptied, God's been building a new one. And here's where the shock comes. Sometimes He softens the heart of that distant son who hasn't called in 3 years, that daughter who blamed you for the divorce, that sibling who chose sides in a fight you can't even remember starting. One morning they wake up, and something in their spirit won't let them ignore you anymore. The Holy Spirit becomes their alarm clock, and your name becomes their assignment. I've seen it happen. The son who swore he'd never speak to his father again, sitting in a diner in Brooklyn, tears running down his face, saying, "Dad, I don't know why I'm here, but I had to come." That's not psychology. That's not therapy. That's the finger of God reaching into a hard heart and making it flesh again. But it's not just restoration. Sometimes God sends you brand new relationships you never saw coming. A neighbor who just moved in becomes the daughter you always wanted. A woman at the senior center becomes closer than your own sister. A young couple at church adopts you as their spiritual mother, and suddenly you're at their dinner table every Sunday, holding their baby, speaking life into their marriage. God specializes in giving you spiritual sons and daughters when your biological ones are MIA. Ezekiel 36:26 says, "I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. I will remove from you your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh." That's not just talking about you. That's talking about the people around you. God is performing heart surgery on folks right now, and you're about to see the results. Now let me be real with you for a second. Not every person from the past should come back. Some relationships God ended to protect you. Some doors He closed because what was behind them would have destroyed you. The shock I'm talking about isn't chaos. It's not toxic people returning with the same poison in a different bottle. What I'm talking about is wise reconnection, divine alignment. When God brings someone back or brings someone new, there's purpose attached. There's healing attached. There's a future attached. I need you to do something right now. If you're believing God for healing in relationships, if you're standing on His promise that you will not finish this race alone, type in the comments, "Lord, shock my circle. And in your heart, right now, put their names before God. That son, that daughter, that friend, that spouse you're believing will come to Christ before it's too late. Let heaven see your faith is still active. Because here's what the enemy doesn't want you to know. When God starts shifting your relationships, it's not random. It's not just to make you feel better. It's preparation. You're about to need these people for what's coming next. But relationships aren't the only place he's moving. Some of you are about to be shocked by an assignment you thought you were too old for. An assignment that requires the very people God is sending you right now. You thought your productive years were behind you. You thought the best ideas, the sharpest mind, the clearest vision died somewhere between 60 and 70. You thought God puts people out to pasture at a certain age. Beloved, you're not a horse. You're a chosen vessel. And God is about to prove to you that your assignment years are now. Not back then. Now. Moses was 80 when God called him to lead a nation out of slavery. Abraham was 100 when the promise showed up as a baby in his arms. And you, sitting wherever you are right now, thinking life is winding down, God is winding you up. Stay with me. Now let me tell you something the church doesn't preach enough, something the world will never tell you. Heaven doesn't have retirement homes, it has reassignments. You thought turning 65, 70, 75 meant you were done. You thought the best chapters were behind you. You thought God put you on the bench while the young ones run the plays. That's the enemy's narrative, beloved, not heaven's. Let me shock you with this. Moses didn't even start his real assignment until he was 80 years old. 80. Most people today are planning their funerals at 80. Moses was standing in front of Pharaoh with a staff in his hand, splitting seas, leading millions out of bondage. Abraham didn't receive the promise until he was 100. Sarah laughed in the tent because her body was way past the expiration date the world stamped on her. But God said, I don't operate on your timeline, I operate on mine. So why do you think your story's over? Why do you believe the lie that your last season is just about waiting to die? You're not a leftover. You're a secret weapon that God kept in storage for a critical hour. And, beloved, this is that hour. Listen to me carefully. There are young people right now drowning in a world that has no fathers, no mothers, no wisdom, no compass. They need what's inside you. There are people in your building, on your block, in your family who are one conversation away from suicide, one prayer away from breakthrough, and guess who God positioned in their path? You. You think it's an accident you're still here? You think it's random you survived what should have killed you? The heart attack that the doctors said was fatal. The accident that should have ended it. The depression that whispered, just give up. You're still breathing because God has unfinished business with your life. He kept you for such a time as this. Now, let me get practical, because some of you are saying, Pastor, that sounds nice, but I'm on a fixed income. I can barely pay my rent. How am I supposed to do anything for God when I can't even do anything for myself? Here's where the provision part comes in, and I need you to hear me clearly. God doesn't call you to something and leave you stranded. When He reassigns you, He resources you. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've watched debts forgiven that made no earthly sense. I've seen checks show up in the mail that nobody could explain. Benefits approved after years of denial. Favor with landlords, with creditors, with caseworkers that defied logic. I'm not talking about some lottery fantasy. I'm not selling you a prosperity gimmick. I'm talking about Jehovah Jireh, the God who provides, showing up in the details of your life in ways that are so specific, so perfectly timed, you can't call it coincidence. Elijah sat by a brook during a famine, and God sent ravens, birds to bring him bread and meat twice a day. You think the God who can command birds can't command your breakthrough? You think the God who multiplied 5 loaves and 2 fish for 5,000 people can't stretch your social security check. But here's the key. He provides when you step into assignment. Not before. Not while you're sitting on the couch waiting for a miracle while doing nothing. Provision follows obedience. Provision follows movement. So what's your assignment? Maybe it's starting a small prayer group in your building. Maybe it's writing down your testimony, your life story, the things God brought you through so your grandchildren have something real to hold on to when the world tries to lie to them. Maybe it's picking up the phone and calling another lonely senior who's one day away from giving up. Maybe it's mentoring a young believer online who needs a spiritual mother or father they never had. You don't need a stage. You don't need a platform. You don't need to be famous. You just need to be faithful with what's in front of you. And when you do, watch what God does. Some of you have been praying for years, God, use me. And He's been saying, I'm trying to, but you keep telling me you're too old, too tired, too broke, too forgotten. Stop agreeing with the enemy's assessment of your life. Stop letting your age, your bank account, your health report write the final chapter. God is about to shock you with what He can still do through a surrendered life that the world wrote off. Now, in just a few minutes, we're going to pray a dangerous prayer together, the kind that rearranges your next season, the kind that puts you back on heaven's radar in a way that makes the enemy nervous. Don't you dare miss that. But right now, if you're willing to be reassigned by God, I need you to do something. Type this in the comments. Lord, I report for duty. Even at this age, even with everything you've been through, say it. I report for duty. Because some of you are about to live more in the next 5 to 10 years than you did in the last 30. That's the shock. Now let me tell you something. The church doesn't talk about enough. If your life got harder this past year, if the battles got more intense, if the attacks came from angles you didn't even know existed, that's not proof God left you. That's proof you're about to be announced. Listen carefully. The enemy doesn't waste resources on people who don't matter. He doesn't send his best warfare against lives that have no assignment. So, when suddenly your health went sideways, when the anxiety started waking you up at 3 a.m., when the bank account that was fine for 20 years suddenly couldn't stretch, that wasn't random. That was strategic. You've been under targeted attack because hell got the memo about what God's about to do with you. Let me name what you've been facing. Some of you had sudden health scares, tests that came back concerning, pain that showed up without invitation, doctors using words like monitor and concerning, and we need to watch this. And in the middle of the night, fear whispered, see, you're breaking down, it's over. Others of you, the money got weird, not catastrophic, just tight, tighter than it should be. Unexpected bills, things breaking that shouldn't break, and the lie came with it. You're going to run out, you're going to be a burden, you're going to end up with nothing. Some of you got hit with anxiety you haven't felt in decades, waking up with your heart racing, thoughts spiraling, a heaviness you can't explain to your kids, because how do you tell them that at 70 years old you're suddenly afraid of everything? And here's the one nobody talks about in church: old temptations trying to crawl back. Things you thought you buried 40 years ago suddenly knocking on the door of your mind. Old habits, old anger, old bitterness about people who hurt you in 1987. The enemy digging up graves you thought were sealed. You want to know why? Because if you've ever seen a construction site, you know it gets loudest right before the building opens. All the drilling, all the hammering, all the chaos, it peaks right before the ribbon cutting. Hell is throwing a tantrum because your opening day is near. The warfare intensified because your announcement is imminent. Paul said it in Ephesians 6:12. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world. This isn't metaphor. This is tactical. You have an enemy. And he's not creative. He's just persistent. He can't stop what God's doing, so he's trying to convince you to stop yourself. But here's what he doesn't want you to know. His attacks are always loudest right before his eviction notice. Jesus already crushed his head at Calvary. Colossians 2:15 says, Christ disarmed the powers and authorities. He made a public spectacle of them, triumphing over them by the cross. The war's already won. What you're experiencing now is just noise from a defeated enemy who knows his time with you is up. So when the fear comes at 3 a.m., that's not a sign you're losing. That's a sign you're close. When the financial pressure mounts, that's not evidence of abandonment. That's confirmation of arrival. When your body aches and the doctor's reports worry you, that's not God punishing you. That's the enemy trying to distract you from what's about to break open. The reason you have to watch what happens next is because the warfare is a clue, not a reason to quit. The intensity of the battle reveals the value of the territory. And beloved, you are expensive real estate in the kingdom. Right where you are, I need you to do something. Say this out loud. In Jesus' name, I break agreement with fear, with hopelessness, with the lie that it's over. Say it again. I break agreement with fear, with hopelessness, with the lie that it's over. And if you can, type in the comments, I choose faith over fear. Let heaven see your decision. Let the enemy see you're not backing down. Because here's what's true. You're not being attacked because you're weak. You're being attacked because you're loaded with something the enemy is terrified of. There's a grace on your life that he can't afford to let mature. There's an assignment in you that, if it gets activated, will disrupt his plans for an entire bloodline. That's why the warfare got worse. Not because you're losing, but because you're about to win in a way that rewrites the narrative for everyone watching. Moses was 80 when hell tried to take him out in the desert. God was preparing to use him to free a nation. Abraham was 99 when the attack on his faith peaked. God was about to give him the miracle he'd waited a lifetime for. And you right now, in this season, at this age, you're not in the waiting room of heaven, you're in the staging area of a shock. Now I need to show you very practically what to do this week, so you're ready when the shock hits. Because warfare without strategy is just noise. But warfare with revelation, that's when you become dangerous. Now listen carefully, beloved. God is about to shock you, but you're not sitting in the bleachers watching this happen. You're not a spectator waiting for a miracle to fall out of the sky while you sit in your recliner. You are a partner with heaven. And what you do in the next 72 hours will determine whether you're positioned to receive what God is about to release, or whether you watch it pass by your window while you're still stuck in yesterday. I need you to hear me. The shock is coming, the turnaround is locked in, but there's a difference between people who experience God's intervention and people who just hear about it secondhand. The difference is response. The difference is partnership. The difference is whether you're going to shake yourself out of the routine that's been burying you alive and make room for what's next. So I'm going to give you 5 simple steps. Not theory, not church talk. 5 concrete actions you can take today, right now, that will align your spirit with what God is preparing to do. And I promise you, if you do these things with a sincere heart, you will feel the atmosphere around your life begin to shift. Step 1. Clean the heart. Forgive one person. Right now, in your mind, there's somebody's name. Maybe it's your daughter who never calls. Maybe it's your son who promised to help and disappeared. Maybe it's a friend who betrayed you 20 years ago and you've been carrying that weight ever since. I want you to release them, not because they deserve it, not because they apologized, but because unforgiveness is a lock on the door God is trying to open. You cannot receive a fresh shock from heaven while you're clutching yesterday's wounds. Ephesians 4:32 says, Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. You want God to shock your finances, your health, your relationships? Start by unlocking your heart. Let that person go. Speak their name out loud if you have to and say, I release you. I forgive you. Watch what breaks loose when you do. Step 2. Clear the space. Declutter one corner. This is going to sound too simple, but trust me. Go into your bedroom, your living room, your kitchen, wherever you spend most of your time, and clear out one space, one drawer, one closet, one corner that's been piled up with old magazines, old bills, old everything. You know what that clutter represents? Spiritually, it's you holding on to what was, instead of making space for what's coming. When you physically clean a space, you're making a prophetic declaration. I'm expecting new. I'm making room for what I haven't seen yet. God honors acts of faith, and sometimes faith looks like throwing out the junk that's been sitting there since 2009. Step 3. Consecrate time. 10 minutes every morning. I'm not asking you to pray for 3 hours. I'm not asking you to fast for 40 days. I'm asking for 10 minutes. Every single morning, before you turn on the TV, before you check your phone, before you do anything else, I want you to worship. Put on one song, read one psalm, Psalm 23, Psalm 91, Psalm 67. Just one. Let the Word of God be the first voice you hear every day, because when you consecrate your mornings, you consecrate your days, and when you consecrate your days, you position yourself in the flow of divine timing. The shock God is preparing doesn't come to people who are spiritually asleep. It comes to people who are awake, alert, and watching. Step 4. Connect. Call one person. Isolation is one of the enemy's favorite weapons against seniors. He wants you alone. He wants you quiet. He wants you convinced that nobody cares, nobody remembers, nobody's thinking about you. That's a lie straight from hell. Right now, there's somebody God is putting on your heart. A friend you used to talk to, a neighbor you haven't checked on, a family member you've been avoiding. Pick up the phone, send a text, make the connection. You have no idea what that one conversation could unlock. Not just for them, but for you. Hebrews 10:24 says, Let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds. Don't isolate. God's shocks often come through people. Step 5. Confess. Speak one promise out loud every day. Your mouth has power. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. Proverbs 18:21. I want you to pick one scripture, one promise of God, and speak it out loud every single day. I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Psalm 67, 13. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Isaiah 54:17. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Psalm 23:1. Say it when you wake up. Say it when you go to bed. Say it when doubt tries to creep in. Because when you speak God's word over your life, you are not hoping for a miracle. You are calling it into existence. Now here's what I need you to do right now. In the comments below, type the number of the step you're starting with today. Just the number. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. This is your act of faith. This is your accountability. This is you telling heaven, I'm not just listening, I'm moving. Because, beloved, what happens next in your life is not random. It's not luck. It's not chance. It's directly connected to what you choose to do with this word. In just a moment, I'm going to pray over you. And as I pray, I believe some of you are going to feel that shock in your spirit, like God flipping a switch, like something that's been off for years suddenly turning back on. But before we get there, You need to understand one more thing about the timing of this shock and why it's happening right now. Chosen one, we've come to the end of this hour, but you are standing at the beginning of something heaven has been building in secret for years. Let me bring it all back for you. You thought you were forgotten. That's what the silence whispered. That's what the empty chair at Thanksgiving told you. That's what your bank account seemed to confirm. But beloved, God wasn't ignoring you. He was incubating you. Like a seed buried in the cold ground all winter long, invisible to the world above, but alive, transforming, getting ready to break through soil when the season shifts. You thought your mind was too tired, too slow, too old to learn anything new or hear anything fresh from heaven. But what I showed you today is that God is about to shock your identity, not your age. Your identity. The enemy wanted you to believe you're just a senior citizen waiting for the final curtain. But heaven's file on you says prophet, intercessor, finisher, history maker. That's not hype, that's scripture. Joel 2:28 says, your old men will dream dreams, not remembered dreams, new dreams. You thought your circle was shrinking. Funerals outnumber birthday parties now. The phone doesn't ring like it used to. But I'm telling you, God is preparing new connections, divine appointments, people you've never met who are going to walk into your life in the next 90 days and say something, do something, open something that makes you look back at this moment and say, that's when it started. You thought your assignment was done. You raised the kids, you worked the job, you served your time. But heaven says, report for duty. Moses didn't start until he was 80. Abraham didn't birth the promise until he was 100. And you, beloved, you are not in your sunset years. You are in your assignment years. Now I want to pray for you, not a religious prayer, a Holy Ghost interruption. Father, in the name of Jesus, I speak fresh strength right now into tired bodies. I speak healing into joints that ache, minds that forget, hearts that are heavy. I speak supernatural energy over your chosen ones who feel like they can't go another round. Let them feel a surge, right now, that didn't come from a pill or a nap, but from the Spirit of the living God. I speak healing into old wounds that never closed, family fractures that have lasted decades. I speak reconciliation. I speak softened hearts. I speak phone calls that break years of silence. I speak forgiveness that flows both ways. I speak courage into your people, Lord. Courage to say yes when you whisper a new assignment. Courage to start something at 68, at 74, at 81. Courage to believe that their latter days will be greater than their former days, just like Job. And I speak peace. Not the absence of war, but peace in the middle of the battle. Peace when the doctor's report is still pending. Peace when the check hasn't arrived yet. Peace that doesn't make sense to anyone watching from the outside. Now, if you've never truly given your life to Jesus, or if you drifted so far you don't even recognize who you became, don't end this video the same way you started it. This is your moment. Pray with me right now. Say, Jesus, I'm tired of running my own life. I'm tired of carrying my own burdens. I believe you died for me and rose again. Forgive my sins. Come into my heart. Make me new. I'm yours. If you prayed that prayer, write in the comments, I said yes to Jesus today. Let us celebrate with you. You just made the most important decision of your entire life. Now, chosen one, if this word hit your spirit like a lightning bolt, I need you to do something. Write in the comments right now, I'm ready for God's shock. Let heaven see your agreement. Let this community see your faith. And listen to me. Like this video, not for me. Do it so YouTube can push this message to another senior sitting alone in a quiet room right now, wondering if God still sees them. You might save someone's life today with one click. Subscribe to this channel and turn on the bell. This is not entertainment. This is not just inspiration. This is your spiritual home online. This is where the forgotten ones come to remember who they are. Here's what I want you to do when you click off today. Don't just go watch the news. Don't just scroll through Facebook. Watch what God begins to do in small ways. Watch for the phone calls that come out of nowhere. Watch for the ideas that drop into your spirit at 3 a.m. Watch for the sudden peace in situations that should still have you in panic. And when it happens, when you see God move, come back here and testify. Write it in the comments. Let this community see that God is still in the miracle business. And if you're serious about this new season, if you're not playing games anymore, the next message I need you to watch is right there on your screen. Think of it as part 2 of what God is starting in your life today. Don't stop now. Keep the momentum going. Chosen one, God is about to shock you. Not with fear, not with loss, but with a turnaround so wild, so sudden, so completely opposite of what you expected, that all you'll be able to do is lift your hands and say, "Only God." Don't be afraid. Just stay ready. Keep your heart open, keep your eyes watching. And beloved, watch what happens next.